Hello, my friends. It's really good to see you out there. Got Lee Willis, got Johnny Satsuma in the chat already. 13 viewers, 14 viewers here. Oh my goodness, 4 likes already. What an amazing start to a stream. It's actually really lovely here, sat here at the start of this stream, seeing my big bro, Jamie, finish off his stream, chatting to people at the end, doing the credits and all that. I'll just put that on for a second. There he is. That's Jamie. That's totally wonderful. Anyway, much love to him. Love my big brother. I've got 2 of them, and I love both of them, in fact, actually. The other one doesn't get many shout-outs on YouTube because he isn't a YouTuber. Right. Yay! Just enough time to grab a cup of Yorkshire tea. Nice to see you, D. Harker. Bing bong. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. What's this? Oh, that's a review of a lens on Amazon. That's not what anybody wants to see. What's this all about, Rocky? You're facing a different direction. Well, yes, I am. I've broadened my perspective. I can now actually look out the window as opposed to having the window to my back. And I can see this plant life in front of me, which does need to have a wee bit of tender love and care given to it, actually, I should say. Which is fantastic. Oh, you want to see it? Do you want to be welcome to the jungle? Let's do the wee welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Woo, my plants. So yeah, healthier perspective, right? That's maybe a bit better. Wonder how long it'll last for. It's way less comfortable in the seat point in this direction, if I'm perfectly honest. Nice to see you, Daniel, as well. Thanks so much for that $5. Wow, $5 from Bad Mama Jama as well as D Harker. Flippin' heck, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. AB Lopez, Sunlight, yes. And it's so fantastic to see you. It was great to see you, a mi hermano Ronaldo Moreno, great guy. Israel, good to see you. Double Mamba, Tony Wright, nice to see you, Tony, in there, and Griffin, Eddie B, Queen B. I wonder if Queen B and Eddie B are related in any way. Matt Rodriguez, Emmy Campisi, Ocean, great to see you. Great to see you, DMC 17, Cami, and loads, Jose Alfredo as well, Warlock for Hire, Feisty Goats, KE. Wow, that's fantastic. What a flood of lovely, lovely, lovely people. For every one of you that hits the like button, it might encourage 0.001 more person to come along to watch the stream. Who knows, you know? So wouldn't it be cool if we could do some of that, get some numbers? Wouldn't that be amazing? Not gonna pin any hopes on it. Right, great, fantastic. So we're going to be taking a look in today's show. Thank you so much for joining me, and I really do appreciate it. Really, really massively do. This is what I do. It's if it wasn't for yous, then if a tree falls in the forest, does Rocky even exist, etc.? I don't know. You can make a Chinese proverb out of that, I'm sure. So anyway, much appreciated. And so what we're going to be talking about in today's show, of course, is the AMC GME price action, both of those stocks and stocks as suggested from the audience, with probably as much attention really paid to the stocks that are suggested by the audience as we pay to the GME and AMC charts here. Because one of the advantages of doing technical analysis and stuff like that is that you do get to buy some minutes away from the charts to check out other stuff. So we're doing some of that as well in the show. Hopefully then we get to cover everything that anybody would like to take a look at before I tune out. And then I'll go and get some vitamin D before the sun sets and all that sort of stuff. So that'd be totally great. I've got my glass of water here. I hope you've got something, perhaps a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, because it is, of course, tea time with Rocky. No tea, that's fine. Half coffee. Or even just water. Even just water. Right, yeah, so we've got a suggestion coming in there. SNDL coming in from Lee Willis. I saw you talking about that in TradeSpot and stream, or somebody did anyway. He said, I heard somebody say it's ripping. If I just turn this screen around a wee bit here so I can read better. Yeah, so actually somebody said it was ripping, so we'll take a look at that. Yes, nice one. 69 likes. Nice one. Cheers, cheers, Kevin, for that. And Katie Babes, good to see you. Mass Spectrometers, nice to have you here as well. Liam Kelly, Keith Kleber, everybody. Israel again. Can we see the Reddit post? What was the Reddit post? I had an Amazon review up earlier on, if that's what you're confusing about, or is it some other Reddit post? What Reddit post would it be that you want to look at? We can look at whatever Reddit post you want to look at. We can talk about it and stuff. We could do that. I find other people do that and it really works for them. If you want me to take a look at any old Reddit post or some such thing like that, then I don't know, figure out a way of getting that information to me. Maybe I'll just go and look. I'll search for it or something. Yeah, oh look, and Trade Spawn's here and everything as well. Wow, wee wow. Nice to see you, Harriet. Nice to see you, Burning Ken. Nice to see you, Case Guy. Nice to see you, everybody. Everybody, Space Captain and Apple Blossom and Christy. Oh, look at that! And a wee cup of coffee or cup of tea there as well. Woo! Lovely, jubbly. Thank you so much, Epiphany Jones. That's really lovely. These are also lovely. Everybody's dead lovely out there. You're also lovely. I love cats. I love cats. Really massively, I don't want to spend the entire show constantly saying I really appreciate you all, because then we'll never get anywhere. But you know, I almost would, right? I almost would do that because it's true, right? Okay, and I am not a cat comes in here. There's a big gold 5-parter super stonk post on crypto, too complex for this smooth brain to follow. Oh, a post on super stonk regarding crypto, right? Well, okay, that'll be interesting, I'm sure. My partner sent me money to buy AMC, says SSL Mononym. Yeah, that's cool. I'm happy for you. Ballistic Hog says, not even a chance for bathroom break. You can take a bathroom break. It's all good. I'll bring up that SNDL chart after I've taken a look here at what we've got on the go with the old GME and, of course, AMC, just where we stand right now in this 5-minute time frame. This is obviously the analysis that I closed off the charts with yesterday. This is what this is showing us, and we can see that the prices came right bang up onto that line before retracing back down the way. So you know, let's just, I suppose, lean on our lines somewhat to give us this idea that we want to be seeing the prices stay above 220. Obviously, now we do know as well that the price action has had this gap down here in the 5 minutes. That can happen. These things can happen, but really it's pretty good. Looking for a green candle here. Can we get continuation up the way and just discard this this particular Fibonacci retracement, etc. for now, and get to talk about what could be happening up above. If you're going to mention gaps though, Rocky, you're going to have to mention the one that's on the charts all the way down there towards that $200 area. That could absolutely happen again. I'm just super happy to see all of this, and it's really nice. And this gap here being a big reminder to folk that that's whenever people didn't know if the share offering had ended, and that's when people did know that share offering had ended. And that just sits on the charts for quite a while, then I think that there's kind of good reason for it. So I'm happy enough to see that. I'm really actually quite overall ecstatic, if you like, here with the AMC pricing. Looking at this this consolidation that's happening here. Everybody loves the name of something. I talk about patterns all the time, and I talk about how it goes as a trader, right? What are the examples that you have from your own life that could work as transformative knowledge now for people, perhaps manual stick driving people who've driven a car with a gearbox in it that is manually operated would understand little concepts along the lines of how maybe perhaps when you're being told how to drive a car, you need to keep the revs up at a certain amount or else the car might stall, blah blah blah, and you're all like looking at the numbers and trying to figure things out, and then after a certain while goes by, you find yourself driving through the center of town at 17 miles an hour in 6th gear, just because you know beyond what it says on the dial more about stuff. And that's kind of like technical analysis and patterns as well. I try and communicate this message from time to time. I got an email the other day from somebody who opens it up with talking about how they've traded Forex since 2011, and it was a very respectful and good email and everything else, and I've got a lot of respect for the guy that sent me the email, to be perfectly frank there with that one, and constructive and all that. Now the thing about it is though that a lot of people get totally fascinated with and become almost ideologues about particular ways of doing technical analysis, and it's great and everything, but it's kind of like talking to somebody after a certain while who'd be sitting in the passenger seat and who could turn around to you and say to you, well, I've been driving cars since 2011 and I wouldn't go through the center of town in 6th gear. And it's like, yeah, fuck off, I mean, right? right? Anyhow, so anyway, everyone loves a pattern, everyone loves a name, everybody wants to stick to something like that. And I noticed that actually, I first noticed my difference between me and other people with thinking about that whenever I came back to Scotland to visit some friends, and they were all talking about how they'd been doing chemistry in school and talking about Bunsen burners, and they're all properly pronouncing it Bunsen burner because your man Bunsen was a German, and that's how he would have said his name. And I was like, what are you talking about with the Bunsen burners, man? It's just a Bunsen burner, innit? Anyway, why are you even talking about that? And they were talking about all the different names of different flasks and all this different sort of crap. And I thought, yeah, people love a name and everything. They love to identify and put labels on things, and they think that that's what it's all about. But actually, like in the month before going over, I'd been forced by the teacher. Thank you so much for becoming a contributor to the show, DW. That's really appreciated. Yeah. So one of the things that's the is that the 99p level? I don't know what it is. I made a new one. It's even cheaper. I think I might get rid of it though. So, you know, anyway, it's just there in case I decide to go members only on the live chats. Who knows? Yeah, I didn't really realize I published it, but thanks very much, really appreciate it. Yeah, and I was thinking, what's that all about with the names of things? You're so fascinated with it, but when in the previous month before, I'd been forced to stay behind after school because the teacher had said to me that he was so impressed with like how good I was at all of this chemistry crap and everything else, but I didn't care about the names of things, and I didn't care about like little things, like just little things like using whatever little thing in that. And it's like some people just get hung up on the details. It's really all it is. Anyway, so right, so so you thought that was some sort of bizarre way of motivating me more. It wasn't. I just set fire to the place. Anyway, J Faust. J Faust, welcome to early supporter. Thanks so much. That's really appreciated as well. Right, so yeah, this thing, is it a bear flag? Is it a whatever? Who gives a shit? What it is a bunch of sideways price action across like not that long a period of time as we look to defend an area around about the sort of close enough to 60s price point. When we push up the way, we get towards the 60s, but we're not able to break it, and we're asking questions about what's going to happen here. At some point, I would expect to hit off this 50 simple moving average, and really what I want to see is an upward curve on the 200 simple before that actually happens. On this 5-minute time frame, it won't take a great deal of time for us to actually get that upward curve on there. Looking back from where we are just now, going back 200 bars takes us to over here. So you can see there's only really 20 bars left or so in terms of periods that are higher than us. So that's going to start happening, and everything will start to look like it's kind of trending up nicely and everything else. So in the meantime, I'm more concerned about the preservation of the trend, and what's going on at the minute here is really not that consequential to me unless the prices in terms of this time frame, etc., were a drop below $57, and they're not going to. Sorry, they might, but at the minute they're not doing that, and instead I'm kind of looking to see can we make it above 60, because there's this period here that happened with the wick. I want to see some sort of formation up here above the 61 zone, really, where we had that prior wick, because we're in a bearishly divergent mode, and a pullback is really kind of at some point to be expected. So yeah, so that's kind of like talking about the preservation of the trend in the same sense that we've seen this pullback that's happened over here on GME. It has moved down past the 618, but overall I'm more concerned about the preservation of the current upward trajectory in the trend at the moment. So brilliant, excellent, fantastic. That's that. I don't know what my story was all about. I did have another point to make, but I didn't actually want to be offensive to anybody or say anything that's kind of wrong. So it really smudged all the edges, but I do think that some people get hung up on the details. Right, anyway, bringing up another chart here so we can take a look at, what was it, SNDL? Is that what it was called? Sundial Growers Inc. Is that a weed stock or something like that? What was the question that came up earlier on? I think it was SNDL. If it wasn't, it was SDNL. Is there an SDNL? SDNL? Nah, there isn't. Let's go with SNDL. Was it SNDL? Yeah, that's what we'll go with. Big cross there on the DMI. It's obviously had a big rise up today. It has been ripping. Oh, Baba Majama chips in here with $5. Thanks so much. I like how this morning Matthew Perry on YouTube said his floor for AMC was $1,000 live to 800 people. I really didn't like it. Yeah, I don't think it's appropriate to really even much talk about in terms of that sort of thing. I've been very clear. I don't want to prescribe a methodology for other people on YouTube or whatever. And as somebody who's more of a giver on the YouTube thing than a watcher or whatever, I create more than I watch. I don't really know Matthew Perry, and I wouldn't have watched anything that he'd done, to be honest. So I don't know, and I wouldn't prescribe for other people necessarily, but I am of the mindset that I'm just going to be like the captain on the ship. I'm holding on to these things. I would rather have been trading them from a sort of experience and everything else point of view up till now, and the charts are like that, and they're obviously tempting in that way. I've got enough releases for it in other markets, though, that I don't need to worry about that. But I mean, it was obviously painful watching it go up to 72 as a trader and thinking about the pullbacks and talking about how it could go to 37 and not taking advantage of any of those moves when I could have like effectively increased my holdings by 50%. You know, so it's in that. So all I'm doing is just holding on to those two stocks, and I think that's a fair enough thing. It's a if nothing else, it's a concord between myself and the audience, and I don't think that that's much of a problem, you know. And I'm not a financial advisor, not trying to give anybody financial advice, but I'm more than happy to educate people on what it is to do technical analysis all along the way here on these two stocks, and hopefully some of that will then educate them, and for others as well, it massively helps with like getting in and out of options trades that they're doing. I'm not personally, and also it helps with other people who are waiting to try and get discounted entries, etc. Thanks so much, Lee Willis. So we're taking a look over here at Sundial. The 1 hour time frame, it's kind of doesn't reveal an awful lot other than the massive change in conditions in terms of the prices here. You can see this star stepping down formation that happened on the prices prior to this. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. You can see the star stepping price action that had gone on towards the downside here, and there's certainly a lesson to be had. Let's just kind of bear in mind we've talked about this recently with regards to higher highs and or lower highs and higher highs and all that chat and the trend. And you can look at these regions and you can say, well, there's this flat price action. It's really kind of fairly low traded, hardly traded at all, just dropping down here and then dropping down again, you know, and you can also look here and you can see the only sort of volume spikes that's coming in here, and it's like, well, there's a degree of some people kind of controlling the markets here, and it's not going to take very much money. This is obviously a fairly small thing that's not traded much. Yeah, it's an easy to manipulate market, this one, very easy. So you're looking down the way here and you're looking at this all the way along and thinking, hey, look, this is what's going on. At the minute, we've come to down to, where did we get down to? This region just here, and on the RSI, what you can see is these lows getting higher and higher and higher all along the way here. And what that is bullish divergence, and we came down and we got a bounce off of the when we came back and we're kind of testing off the moving average itself, we got bounces off of it. You could look at it that way. You could look at it along the lines of how, you know, we came down towards these lows, we didn't take out our prior highs, etc. You could also just look at it in terms of how we came up towards where that bearish control zone, etc. All that stuff there to make whatever particular sort of nuanced approach to looking at this movement towards the top side and the recapturing of the kind of a degree of positivity before the prices moved up. Then they did it all at once, and it's kind of like, well, some, you know, that's great. So I wonder, this was in a sense predictable, but there would have been no sort of, you know, I don't see the point in looking beyond the charts here if you wanted to try and take moves like this. And the way you'd be having to think about it then naturally is, well, could this keep going? Well, it has kept going this entire time. So you know, up to this point, you think, well, obviously it could. So there's a couple of key areas that you'd want to be interested in. Going down to the 5 minute time frame, was there really any chance of getting in there? Well, I suppose you would have had to have really kind of have kept your eye out for just kind of crossing over. Well, it gapped up. It gapped up, and there was a momentum play there where it gapped right up to where there was that previous gap. So it left a tiny sliver of that gap on the charts as well during that, and just gapped right beyond to where the other one was as well. and then just flew on through. And this is just like good luck. It's good stuff. Nice, excellent, whatever. Somebody's done a decent move there and made a bunch of money. Now, where the prices have actually resulted in coming back down to is kind of at the start here of this entire phase of price action. The what's happened in this period of time could easily just be the result of an overall kind of squaring up of an account. And what we need to do now is to establish at this point here, you know, are we looking at a change in trend or not? Are we looking at a change in trend or not? There's a larger trend here to be taken into account, which goes down, up a chunk down, up a chunk down. It hasn't actually gone on for lower lows at this stage yet, so we're pretty close to being able to kind of turn that around a wee bit. But this is another good instance then, therefore, of where it would be a good idea to draw in the kind of the clear levels with the Fibonacci on here and take a look then between that high and that low, and because clearly we're above the 236, but this is a question of saying, well, can we defend it? That comes in at the round number area of $1. Well, it's 99 cents, kind of giving you that idea that anything below a buck at the minute is a tasty buy on this one, for the idea of trying to push on higher up if that's going to be possible, but with the clear imperative on you to manage your risk. Really, personally, if I was trading this, I suppose, you know, because I don't really operate on a FOMO basis or whatever, this is the fact. This is a 1 hour time frame. What's even the point in talking about entries on this one? No, just this is good. Overall, pretty good, and I'm very happy to see it. The next target up the way is going to be 107. We can then target up the way towards 114, and then of course up towards that 165 area. We've managed to take out just one of these areas so far in terms of the downward sloping move, and you can see that there's a big zone up here where there was the last little bit of you know, the last gasp push up the way that was massively sold into again with the whomever the participants are who are looking to distribute on this down the way. So really kind of taking out that price point there might be some sort of signal to us at 1111, all the ones, in a sense that we've actually managed to you know, get past the point where somebody who was previously concerned about kind of distributing their position was no longer trying to do it. And I'm applying that and anthropomorphizing it into one person, but it's really just a view on the market as a total. I'm not trying to say that there's one nefarious actor here, etc. I'm trying to say that there's the markets are doing this. So as soon as it goes past the sort of all the ones, then you're pretty happy. So there's a move to be made from here to there, and it's a question of what your entry would be, and if we're going to see this be defended. If it does pull back down the way and it takes out that 99 area, then you're easily looking down towards the lower 90s. So it might be a case of kind of being patient if you don't go in for the sort of can we defend one as your premise for taking that trade. Sorry, I don't know what the if that actually addressed any of the things that you might have been talking about, but it doesn't matter. Not a real name. That's a good name. Thoughts on the head and shoulders going on in Bitcoin, says Rocky, says him to me. Northwest Nerd. It's good to see all these people here that I've not seen for a wee while, in fact, is with regards to likes of Northwest Nerd and whatever. It's good, obviously, in terms of the daytime, it's good to have you all here. And what we have as well was Scott's out there in the crowd. Chandler from Friends. Matthew Perry. Yeah, that's who Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry was talking about his floor, and he's Chandler from Friends. That's mental. What's he doing? Sorry, missed most of this morning, says Shane. That's so good. You just chat out amongst yourselves. I'm sure you'll come to some resolution. Just kidding. Right. Somebody asked about that. Let's just check in on our pals AMC and GME at the minute. Bounce here right off that fib level. So we'll leave these fibs on here for a while. We're kind of getting a fairly good impression of them. We know that 220 is a big deal for us in terms of GME. Current prices in there, 219. And then over here in AMC, yeah, so exactly. We're just in this zone at the minute until such times as we isn't. So, we've come back up again, and it's that chat that we had before, like, so sort of wake me up when we hit 60, and I'll ask about 61, nudge me a couple of times if we hit 58, because then I'll be looking to where that 50 simple is on that small term time frame. That's kind of what we're looking at with regards to those two currently until such times as things change. I miss Mar Reese. My Paul brother. What's going on here? Thanks so much, Bad Mama Jamma, for that $20. Maurice, where the hell is you spell his name very nice. It's a good name, a good nickname for him. Where the hell is Maurice, your bald brother? Somewhere in Donegal, presumably. Maybe he's playing the old GAA. Thanks, Rocky. I'll keep hodling SNDL. All right, okay, cool, nice one. Yeah, we're looking for try and see if we can get something positive here. It seems pretty decent. This movement down the way has been pretty painful in terms of where it came down to as well. It's probably going to be fairly revealing in terms of just taking this from this low down here that we had, popping up towards the top and seeing it came in exactly on the 618 golden pocket. I mean, it's not exactly a surprise here. You're looking at especially whenever you consider everything that I was talking about. I kind of anthropomorphized it and put it down to one person. If you want to talk about sort of the machine mind or the Fibonacci or mother god or whatever it is that's putting it down to these particular levels, then crack on. Right, but that's the answers though. We have the answers. So somebody asked about Bitcoin and what do I think about some head and shoulders that's on the go, right? Looking for an inverted head and shoulders here. Got a head, perhaps this. What do I think about it? I don't think it's an inverted head and shoulders really. First off, 1 hour time frame, not exactly loads of time. The shoulders thing, I mean, yeah, like, okay, yes. Right, two things. One, if somebody who was an expert at technical analysis described it as that way, cool, excellent, I'm right there with them, because what we're talking about there is the concepts that are all behind this and underpinning it. If somebody who is new to technical analysis was describing it that way, I'd say that that's cool and everything. You're looking at just this area alone here, using just this one wick. It's on the 1 hour time frame. It's not exactly going to be like the most amazing head and shoulders in the world, overall, in terms of like what we're looking at here. But like that's totally fine. Let's just say, right, we've got a neckline that comes up towards there. That's our kind of our range. We could go up as high as the 37,000 area, and 37,000 brings us shy of where we know from before in terms of 38k is what we need to be above if we're actually trying to challenge anything. So this is a sort of short to medium term reversal strategy. Is absolutely fine. In terms of looking at these though, when you've got a head which is so incredibly sharp like that, and you're also talking about the big resurgence in the price immediately following on from that dump straight away across all time frames, dropping down towards the 5 minute here and seeing that we dumped down the way, wick bought it straight back up. There was a bit of a sort of little shake around here, and then we of course flew towards the top side, completing that entire thing in terms of like from the very low until we got back up to that high there in 39 bars, 39 times 5. So yeah, so not very long essentially, and then on the 1 hour time frame, obviously it just stacks together as a few candles. What you're really looking at here is asking, can this do more than simply come up for its previous high? And it did, but we're looking from the drop down point where you could say that, well, this is really where it dropped down from. Did it drop down from here? Well, yeah, kind of, but did it drop down from there? And then what it lines up with again in terms of the target for you is up here at this sort of 90% area at 35,500. So the range that's going to be there is between those two separate targets, the head and shoulders, and kind of just looking at a 90% recovery from the drop down point over there. That is taking you up right smack into this zone here, which so happens to be between more or less the wick high of today and the 200 simple moving average, and what's in between there is the 236 Fibonacci. So that really kind of lays out all your areas for us in terms of what's going on. And I kind of addressed the larger question which you were kind of intimating at by saying that until we're above 38,000 or perhaps 39,000, etc., we've not really. That's kind of what I think of that head and shoulders. It's nothing particularly exciting. If you're looking back the way and you're asking about it, then you say, why is that nothing particularly exciting? Then I could like to draw reference to exhibit number A over here. Which is a question of, well, you could have asked me this last week. We could have talked about it. We could have said, right, great, we've done well. How good are we going to do afterwards? And where did we get to? And yada, yada, yada. And we just lived that story, brother. We just lived it. We pushed on up. We managed to get up towards 42. We pulled back down. What do I think of it? Well, I think that while you're operating in somewhat of a downward channel here with a range which is very well defined, that to think anything beyond that, what I've explained there, would be absolutely considered to be thinking outside the box, because I think in terms of the box there, I've just gone through absolutely every aspect of it. What do I think of it? What do I think of it? What do I think of it in terms of something else that's on here? It's not a special one. There's nothing special about it. Yeah, it didn't really get a very nice head and shoulders on the RSI, kicking off a couple of periods before. So there's like it's like super sort of advanced. We didn't see it kind of forming prior to this, which is why it kind of doesn't really work perfectly again as a head and shoulders. Not that that really is a requirement of a head and shoulders. I'm just saying it's not. Anyway, the targets are more or less the same. What do I care about it? What do I think about it? That's. So anyway, good question though. Super good one. Right, so we're still within this, we're still stuck within the bounds here of our kind of defined targets, making up to 59.67 within the last sort of 15 minutes there, having prior to that been down at 58.38, so still within that range, this sort of bull flag that's on the go, still on the go. Really, bearing in mind, by the way, in the 4 hour time frame, that what we're talking about is discussing the details of this wick. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're discussing the details of that wick on a really small time frame, which is, you know, valid and everything. I'm just saying that's what we're discussing. And then here on GME, yeah, rejected at that 618. The lines here doing a remarkable job of explaining what's going on. So taking out that low, clearly we'd be looking down here, a couple of things, 50 simple here in this 5 minute time frame, and of course that next line, and then looking up the way we'd be talking about the next line higher up. So these are giving us our sort of support and resistance zones. You know, they have got Fibonacci sort of significance, but we can just overlook that in terms of just considering these to be horizontal support and resistance zones, and come back and kind of keep checking in with them. And the clearly defined market structure as well, you know, so it's clearly defined. I could do the same thing on AMC over here, but just guess I'll not. Rocker, did you get more handsome? Yeah, well, I was zapped. Right, what happened was I was walking through the streets and I was zapped by a taser, right? So it's kind of similar to what happened to you, but instead of waking up, you know, 3 million light years away, having to defend the galaxy against the Garlachians, I simply found myself standing in my bathroom with a shaved face. So, you know, wasn't still though. We just got to take our victories. Rocky asked for likes. Oh, can everybody hit like? That'd be awesome. It'd be super sweet. It'd be really, really nice. Really appreciate it. That'd be fantastic. Super brilliant, fantastic, wonderful. It does genuinely helps. Post Malone doppelganger. I've heard as much. There's a few different ones. A few. Oh, spin the wheel, says Juro. Kind of. Thanks so much for being here, by the way, Cosmic, and to everybody else as well. Voicey, chatting away in there. Good one. Bavash, it was the booze and war paint transformed him. That's kind of it. Liked, says Luke Spears. Thanks so much, Max Greenwell. By the way, if you hit exclamation mark liked, right, then Nightbot should come back and say thanks for hitting like. Maybe she doesn't do it for me. Maybe I told her to go away. Not too sure. Doesn't really matter. Oh, look at that. Hey, Rocky Outcrop. Hit the like button, say thanks, lol, thanks Rocky, and so on and so forth. Right, so 243 live viewers. Wow, that's brilliant, super chuffed. Thanks so much to all the live viewers. Right, what was it then? We'll take a look at something else now as well. Has anybody got any stonks or anything they want me to take a look at in particular? All the cool cats are here. Yeah, that's right, Aaron. All the cool cats are here. It's pretty awesome. Lee Willits, thanks so much for hitting like, by the way, as well. To Cosmic, to Mine and Boom, thanks so much for that. Thanks so much, Nacho Friend. Thanks so much, Runaldo Moreno. Thanks so much, Michael. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Apple. I'm going to say thanks anyway. Eddie B says lol, and thanks to you for Eddie B for laughing. Right, AB Lopez hit like jeepers. Right, a lot of likes. Is Nightbot going to be able to cope with this? I wonder. Is she going to be able to cope with it? Thanks so much, Kim. Thanks, Carl. Thank you. Here's Nightbot's coming back. Hey, Rocky, say thanks to these people. I will. Hype in the chat. Thanks so much, everybody. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks to everybody. Yeah, brilliant. Can we get the bounce just here? By virtue of the fact that we slipped slightly lower here than the line, great. You know, we could even come as far as the line and put in a higher low. Oh my goodness, but that's a lower high. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's right. We're kind of asking a few sideways questions at the minute. Will we actually hit that 216 mark and go down to 215 and then have to push up the way? I'd rather not see that. I'd rather see a bounce just now. And for this to go up the way on the 5 minute time frame, it's obviously asking a few different questions. You can simplify that out on the 30 minute time frame, for example, and just see that we're kind of just here. we're just here, you know. It's not, there's highs and lows inside that mess. I don't know. I mean, we're just here, which is incidentally was an equal high in terms of where we got to. Closed, the open there was higher. We didn't get a higher close than that on the 30-minute time frame. That's funny. 1 hour time frame, we did. We got a slightly higher close on it. No, it's equal as well, actually. Of course, as well. Of course, it's equal. What was that? I'm going to check with that in just a sec. Yeah, so it's a funny one. I think TradeSpot was talking about that earlier on. It's definitely it's a debatable one, right? It's one that we'd probably happily debate. NFS Underground, I am unstoppable. I rule both of these games. Yeah, nice one. You know, we've got a guy here who Cosmic Lightning Warrior, famous famous on planet Earth, right? For his fantastic Halo 3 skills. Actually, that's legit somebody who's famous for playing Halo 3. And then he found the greatest game of all time. So I think that he represents, not only does he represent, you know, people in the sort of the GME community who like it for all the reasons everybody else does. I think he represents like a whole group of people out there in the world who, you know, are who understand, you know, game theory and everything else, and also understand the role of communicating and what society is and all the rest of it. So like that's the sort of the gamer people, right? As well as being a smart guy, right? Sound. Anyway, that's enough of that. Bad Mama Jamma. If we played cool, it's no chance. Lol. I don't know what that was. You could take a look at Matic Polygon if you want. Rocky Outcrop. Cool. Cheers, Kevin. Nice one. Good shout out for that. Let's take a look at something. So anyway, how do I feel about the final dying seconds? How do I feel about this thing? Well, I don't feel nothing until we're above the 236, and then at that I'm looking kind of surreptitiously 3 followed by all the 6s, 36,666. Then after that I'm looking surreptitiously towards the next level, all the while bearing in mind that if it would you know, a blind man could say that this is obviously a downward trend, you know, within the consolidation of the you know, so it's clearly had a downward trending aspect to it. What the hopium among us all wants us to really kind of, you know, believe that this is not a downward trend. That's what hopium, and it's just purely consolidation here, and that we're going to bounce back up the way. But let's just be real about shit here on that time frame. That's what that is. So Matic, right? Matic USDT. Let's take a look at this thing. This is one of these coins which aims to provide another layer for the Ethereum network as well, kind of in a sense, you know, like, or not another layer, but is very much popular while the Ethereum fees remain so incredibly high. That doing small transactions often costs you more in terms of the fee than it does for the actual transaction cost, and that's still the case in Ethereum 2.0. What a big great load of myth that was up till now. So maybe that will of course improve in the future, but there's obviously a good market for these. And while the market's crashed with a lot of its competitors out there, for example, let's just take a look at our pal Harmony One, which is its own distinct independent chain and everything else, and just and all that. Was never an ERC20 token, I don't think. It's obviously really suffered. That's the 1 hour time frame. The 12-hour time frame can show you here that we come all the way down to that 618, or bouncing right off of the 618 itself, not making it into the pocket, and that's been, you know, shocking against the move, which was a 5,000% move towards the top side, something like that. That's what this coin was. 5,000% move to, no, sorry, a 20,637% move towards the top side. That's what this had. 20,000% move towards the top side. 20,000%. So it's now fallen back down from those highs, down as low as 78%. But as you can see, despite that being 78% off of its highs, we're still very, very high. That's the logarithmic chart. Put it on the linear chart, you get a better idea, of course, in terms of that, in terms of the contrast there. So Matic has done okay recently with regards to the massive market pullback. Although I'd say that I didn't check in on Matic yesterday with the kind of the crash that happened there. How did it do? It came down to the 200 simple moving average, right? So from a really broad perspective here, simple, oh, that's on the 12-hour time frame. Well, still, right? Well, I mean, that's revealing enough in itself that it came down to that area. But, you know, I think maybe this is worth kind of This idea here in the 12-hour time frame, is this ominous for us? Is this ominous for us breaking down past the 50, coming down to the 200? Is it ominous for us when we know that there's presumably a good, really significant area there, because this is a chart I've not looked at for quite a while really in any detail, and I drew that in at some point in the past, and that's where the 200 simple's lining up with. That would be, you know, the market's really crashing here for this one. How far down has it come since its highs? Well, 68, 60, 71% or so to there, but currently it's sitting at around about 53% off. Don't want to see that happening. That's the risk to be aware of. This could be a descending triangle that's coming in here at top. I don't massively like descending triangles in general, to be honest with you, because there's so much confusion around them when you see them at tops in markets. For example, over here in the Bitcoin chart, we can find probably numerous examples of them at the tops of markets. Here's a good example. For example, in here at around about, where was that, July 2019 or so. So there's this descending triangle here, right? Okay, that's fair enough. Now, you know, the descending triangles that we had prior to that were all part of this bear market. You know, the bear market itself had this tail point on a descending triangle. You could have also kind of gone kind of like that on it, on that type of idea, and said that that was the top of the market. However, you can also kind of just go like segment along with these things along the way, as well. It's hard, but there's numerous different reasons for them happening at any time. If that was the top of the market though, it'd be hard to ever properly say if this kind of wanted to just push down the way that this indeed ever really fully was that. However, we can talk about it under those contexts for just now, because what that really means is that you draw in a horizontal and say, look, you know, this is the territory that we really do need to defend, and then we can sort of point out these levels here, or what we need to take out in order to start sort of trending towards the top side again. Obviously, how have we done so far? So far here, yeah, that lines up with that level, right? Anyway, so that's the 24-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame in terms of this one, because what we're looking at is this downward trend, and how can we compete? How can we like end this? How can we end this section of downward trend? Well, from high to low to high to not quite as low, maybe this is the first sign that we're actually turning that around, that the trend itself, which is the broader trend here, isn't going to continue. We'll only get that one high, that lower high, and then ultimately a higher low, and kind of end the notion of the descending triangle at the top. Coming in here and actually considering that as an actual low will put us in with a double bottom and continue that idea on. So, and I'm looking to compete to sort of retrace against this from this particular high just here after the previous sort of failed V-shaped recovery down the way, and saying then so long as we're above 116, I'm happy enough. Below 116, we've got another 10% drop off down towards 1. So, you know, these are the real sort of numbers of it. And I'm looking up. Yeah, and I would be taking profit at 170 where our prior high was, somewhere between sort of 160 and 170 before I could find out what things were going on. Bearing in mind that if you were to, and like in any other market, any other time, you're talking about the potential for the ceiling prices to go up 30% and still refuse to take profit being 30% up, and you know, normal trading activities, then obviously you're a madman if that's how it is. There's no talking to somebody like that kind of idea. But beyond that, very happy again. So I'm looking for what happens beyond that, because maybe we start to trend up the way. Maybe we do. I'm going back over to the other two charts there and see what's going on. So we're, yeah, higher low on this one in a sense, like kind of just like not breaking it is really what we're looking for. It's higher low bullshit. Don't say that, Rocky. Don't say that, Rocky. Just, we didn't break that area. That's good. And we still continue to not break that one. Are we actually going to, like, you know, allow the 50 symbol to catch up with us and go and hit that and test it or not? Talking about it in these format, by the way, in this format, I think should hopefully deliver a degree of familiarity, maybe latently, to you with looking at charts in a way where you don't necessarily have to panic. Even if things were moving very quickly, you wouldn't have to panic. You just kind of zoom out a bit and kind of consider where you are. But this idea that I suggested earlier on when the 50 simple was down wherever it was, that maybe it would catch up towards us in terms of the chart and how this dynamic's going to play out. And I'm not looking at this like a flag, like I'm hoping to like then think, well, is this very long for a flag? Blah blah blah. It's just like, no, it's just consolidation here at this price point, and I'm not going to need to necessarily categorize that any further, looking over towards where our prior highs were and saying that we want to maintain them with regards to our lows, and I'm happy enough to see this get tested. And if it breaks, then I'm looking down towards this, which will eventually start to turn towards the top side, and hopefully we don't break it, because the more we close above it, the more likely, of course, well, the math says definite, it's going to start to go towards the top side. So that's what that's all about. I'm going to just catch up with the chat for 5 minutes in here. See that there's 241 live viewers right now. Thank you so much. And even a few people became new members and stuff like that. Really massively thank you guys, and to everybody as well that's donate to the channel. Massively appreciate you. But the fact is we're at 240 viewers, and that's amazing. We've got 243 likes. It's one more like than we have viewers. I'm really super pleased by that. I love it. Jimmy's on his live stream talking to 500, 600 live viewers. I don't expect all 500-600 of his live viewers to come over and start viewing here. Of course not. But it's kind of funny in a sense that pretty much everyone that's here now is here now because somehow you went through some process of discovering this channel. There won't be anybody that's here right now because it popped up on their home screen and they were, so that's the dynamic that happens with this channel. It's totally fine. But, YouTube, whatever. One day, I'm starting to think, if we get above 500 viewers, maybe that for me might be like a watershed moment where suddenly, I think we are being promoted by YouTube. You might want to make a debate about whether or not it's my thumbnail, but honestly, that's just like, or my title or whatever. But I mean, no, it's not. Right, D Harker, could you please look at PCT? It just broke those $24 levels you pointed to last time. I asked you. Many thanks. Bing bong. Sweet quality. Okay, it's Maurice. Says nice to see you, Morris, man. Good to have you here. Bad Mama Jamma was giving you a shout out earlier on if you wonder why we're laughing. Maybe you already know. Stefan S. Rocky Outcrop, pretty sure a breakout wedge is forming with GME. 222 is the peak. Other than the other points look more obvious. Can you confirm? 22 is the peak of a wedge, is what we're talking about here. Ding dong. Bam, ba-dam, bam, bam. So somebody else suggested something, and I will take a look at that momentarily. I'll just try and answer Stefan S.'s question here as well. And this time frame, obviously, that's too high to see any wedge on the go there. There's concepts that you could have had in here, for instance, before. These sorts of ideas here, etc. But we're talking about something lower down. So again, I'm gonna guess it's lower as well. So that's the 5 minute time frame that we're on before. In terms of this is marginally wedgy. What about linear chart, just to kind of make it so it's maybe got looks a bit more. So could we be on the way to forming this? This is very early days to be saying so, because of the 1-2-1-2. It's not really, it's not got 3 touches, and it's not, but yeah, sure, we could be. And how could it happen? Well, could it all happen with a move that takes us past this? Did I draw that on for a reason? I'm going to assume that this clearly, this point which meant something to me at some point in time. Could it totally do that? Yes, it could. We obviously filled in that gap yesterday before we talked about that one. What would this mean really? So this is what it comes. This is this chat. I'll get around to talk about the other one that people asked me to take a look at in a minute. But this is this chat. This is what I was talking about with regards to how some people can't really see. Some people become so expert at something yet somehow still fail to really be able to see what all of this is all about. And what I try to show people on the channel, and of course you feel free to go off and specialize in any particular form of TA that you want to. I'm really quite open with all of that. You know, I don't have any sort of, I don't prescribe any particular thesis as being the best one at all, or that any's the worst at all, and whatever. Now, but what they don't seem to understand is that there's so many relationships. Everything ties together. Everything ties together. It makes a lot of sense that everything ties together because it all came from the same place. I mean, if you want to think about it like as a simple analogy, it's amazing and fascinating that we're made up of particles inside our bodies that came from within suns, but then also at the same time, everything came from everywhere. There was the Big Bang, and literally that's where everything came from. So we're all made up of shit from that as well, you know, sort of ultimately. And it's the same thing with charts. You know, it's like you're going to have so many different layers built on top of these things, but ultimately it's the same thing. We're looking at the movements in prices of something, and if you like, it's psychology, human psychology, and that doesn't really seem to change. So when you're looking up towards these things and you look between these levels and you talk about the how obviously we came in just a little bit higher, just a little bit higher than our previous one. We didn't actually take out any of those highs over there we didn't take out any of those highs, and then we came in here and we'll be looking up the wheel, and we didn't take out any of those highs. But then you're going to have something that lines up, right? You're going to have something that lines up, and what we've not done in this movement here at all is go very far beyond the prior highs, and during it we've had this bearish divergence. So because you know that stuff ought to kind of line up in a way, it's a little bit, it's nicer when it does. It's not quite there yet. You know, we've had this bearish divergence between these two highs, and it's not quite there yet for that, right? It's just not quite there yet for that. It's not got that perfect sort of synergy. What was I actually trying to say? I mean, I don't know. I've got a point to make. I'm going to have to actually work on it in terms of this point that I'm trying to make about with regards to people who get who aren't able to see the full picture, you know. And this isn't directed at you, Stefan. This is directed at, well, tons of other people, certainly not you. But the reason I'm talking about this is because of this idea of like what's going on here, and does it really fit in with what we're looking at? And a lot of the answer to this is that that it's too early to say that it really does with just 2 touches, and this is why a lot of people look for 3 touches off of diagonal lines to say that they're worth it. I could drag it back down the way and get a third one along the bottom here. Then we've got the third one at the top. Then we come back down again to 219 and whatever. And is that how we kind of see things going along the way there? Well, that makes sense with regards to that. We're not pushing past, and we're not taking out any of our prior highs, or with regards to extending on beyond in a sort of typical fashion. And it ties in with the bearish divergence that we've seen, you know, that we'll probably come in here and put in an equal or maybe perhaps a lower high. And if we put in an equal or lower high, that makes sense because this wedge is going to kind of be restrictive at the top end. I don't know, whatever. I don't know. I was trying to make a point there. Can't really. Somebody asked me about, I think I probably half succeeded, half failed. Can we take a look at PCT? Should have done that sooner than banging on for ages. Anyway, PCT. Taking a look at PCT. PCT. Bang, bang, B. And I said something about $24 on this one at one point. That's cool. How come I'm not seeing it though? Am I on a... oh, look, there's that gap fill. Did I just destroy all my drawings after doing it, or did I do it on a different chart layout? Right, okay. I doubt it's the UK Polar Capital Technology Trust. Must be that Pure Cycle. Yeah, Pure Cycle. Right, cool. Completely just right, sound. Right, cool. So, woo, we've come up the way. So, this will be one of those little Fibonacci extension areas, right? So you can see, just like typically, like, you know, just looking at that, having spent too long perhaps looking at the GME and considering the distance between the two highs, I mean, it became immediately obvious at looking at this chart that that's most likely where that one was, and it lines up perfectly with that gap over there. You know, to see us get some sort of pullback and consolidation in this region wouldn't be surprised at all. That's a 12-hour time frame, so I don't really rely on the 12-hour time frame for moving average ideas, although it's interesting to think about the overlap over a few days of you know, a day and a half is 12 hours technically. So in terms of charts, stocks in America. Hey Rocky, can you Carl Germain. Hey Rocky, can you thank you for the daily TA. Can you please take a look at Lyft? Where do you think it's headed in the next 6 months? Thanks. Cool, excellent, sweet. Let's take a look at Lyft. When somebody says about anything, and you've got a chart here, and this is split up in periods of months, and that, and you see prices moving, and they've gone like this, then the only answer that you can give really is going to be along those lines, right? When you see a chart and it's period of months and it's looking like this, and this is like where the company launched at, and this is where the company's current price is, then the only thing you can say is it's going to go like that. When you see a company which is started there and has done this and that, then the only answer that you can really realistically give is going to be like that, right? Okay, so a couple of different examples of that one. For example, that last one that I just talked about, Coinbase, could be one of those companies, right? But when you've got a company which is old enough and you're looking about long-term projections, then you're going to then you can say, well, when you see a company, it was like this and it went up like that, and then it came down like this, and then it went to here, right? Or whatever. Then you've got, and this is over the period of months and months, and this is like, I don't know, IBM or something. Then you've got like a different type of discussion that you can have. 6-month projections on anything are like long-term weather reports. There isn't a massive amount of value in them, which is why people then are able to make that stupid argument about fundamentals having any basis in reality. And well, the only reason that still persists, that argument, is in markets like America, where you can say that and you can actually see that over a period of 10 years you've had upward growth, you know. Whereas in the UK economy, like I've been talking about quite a bit recently, we hit the millennium here, the year 2000, went up and down a wee bit and blah blah blah, and right now we're below where we were at the year 2000. So it's harder to say things like that about whether or not any of that actually means anything, and I think that's so. Anyway, just so you know, so we'll get around to talking about that in a minute, but just that's clear. And by the way, when people do that on things like Bitcoin, etc., it's funny, but at least it's getting around to that price point. But when people do it on things like I don't know, whatever, Harmony One, Polkadot, whatever, it's impossible. It's not been around for long enough. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, right, so we've come up to that area, right? Gap fill, cool. 4-hour time frame, we're above the 200 simple. At this point, we can see that the 200 simple, well, it doesn't, you know, it's obviously curving here, that it lines up with our previous highs. If we take out that 200 simple, then we're also like cracking down below that previous high, which is obviously speaks to kind of market structure, if you will. So this is the kind of the zone that we want to see being defended. We can also see in terms of the 4-hour time frame that the 18-period exponential moving average is also coming up towards that zone nicely as well. So it would be good to see that getting a bounce there if we do see a pullback, having had this gap be filled in, so that we can actually then just go on up the way. What I would prefer really is just to keep on going up the way, but that's a big ask considering, you know, where we've come from since, and how the fact that we've come up to the 1.272 versus our prior high over there. Now there's people in the world therefore that would like to then get totally fascinated with things like Elliott wave and be like, oh, it's going to be like this, right? Or like, that's wave 1, there's your wave 2, oh, there's your wave 3, here's 4, there's wave 5, we've completed a 5-wave structure, we're going down, this was a whatever, oh look, wave 3 was the longest, yada yada yada. I mean, really, you know, you can do it that way if you want to, right? You can do it that way if you want to, the conclusions are going to be the same at this point in time, is that like when you come up to significant market structure areas, you know, it's a matter of the price to lead price after a certain point. Okay, so we want the price to lead the price, and it's not kind of your responsibility personally to do that. If we see the prices dropping back down below this 23.15 area, then you know we are asking about where we're going to put in our high or low. Why? Not because of some Elliott wave, not because of some Fibonacci, not because of anything, but because of the human basis of psychology of, like, you know, like when you go into the shop and you buy milk and it's $1 every day, then you go into the shop and it's goes up to $1.20, and then it goes back down to $1. If it hits 80 cents, you really start to wonder about what the fuck's going on over there at the milk farm, don't you? When you think about it, right? And that would be the equivalent of having come up to towards $22, down to $18, up to $24, and then if it went back down below $18 again, you'd be like, what's going on at the milk factory, right? Regardless of any other pish. And that's so really you want to see 23.15 being defended, and if we do drop down the way the 50 simple moving average here in the 4-hour time frame is doing us a good favor of kind of pointing out the fact that if we were to actually see closures below it, then we'd have done another couple of things. That's what confluence is, by the way, when you can point out two things at once happening at the same time. So really, this is an all right looking chart. Happy to see it, pretty good. I would like to see continuation overall. The sort of the prudent trader who's trading in the zone probably has taken some profit here. Why? Because of the risk profile which is presented by hoping to get up here, as opposed to what's happened getting up to here from where we were previously. The risk up the way was much lesser than it is now. Not to say that we couldn't go up the way, but just to simply that's just where we are. From the broad perspective as well, then you can see that we're coming up towards the 618. Yeah, okay, sound. So I probably am aiming up towards $26, $28 at, you know, 26, 28 after this for sure. But if we see a pullback down the way towards that, then your next move is likely to be between sort of 23 and 26, which is of course, you know, a tasty 10% move for you there. Greater than 10% move there, in fact, you know, and where you're standing at the minute is 24.30, right? So that's how that probably works. That's just the sort of thing that's like, you know, if you get so blinkered by one type of technical analysis, you're maybe liable to completely forget to do something like that, just to kind of just to look and say where the markets are liable to go to. Right, it's probably missed a bunch of chat. Let me just check in with the chat and see how much of a bunch I did miss. I see that Stefan Star, 3 touches if you take away the first peak you got. If you take away the first peak away you got. Oh, okay. I can check back in on that over the course of the next week. Well, we'll go back into it soon enough. I'll go back into it soon enough. How long have I been on this for a while? I've been on for 1 hour and 1 minute. So that's cool. Right, sweet. So Epiphany Jones, I do too. Apple Blossom, Mauricio Ciano, lol, nice one. So friendly stuff happening in there. Fucking Tories, says Sanjo Kojak. That's right, that's fucking Tories. Thanks very much for pointing that out. Spin, Jeff Bradford, Ashley Lem, done. I'd like to give a specific shout out to Ashley Lem right now. She's somebody who deserves a special shout out. So, hi Ashley. Right. Arnie McInnes, not live analysis, but I'm curious how stock splits affect how traders view a stock and their technical analysis. Yeah, it really depends. It really depends on so many different factors at the same time. When you're crying out there, I hope those are tears of joy, right? Right, so Arnie, you know, like, so when a stock splits, we know, for example, that there was a stock split on VW. So like one of the things that you're probably likely to have spoken about and heard about recently is the VW squeeze that happened back in 2008, and in 2005 or 2000 or 1998 or whatever, right? Before then, there was a stock split, and it was 1 to 10, 10 to 1, whatever. They had 10 less shares for everyone that way, and that pushed the prices up. So in a sense, you can look at it and think back to what the realistic low was on the charts, and subsequent to that split, the prices actually dropped down in terms of their value per share, lower than their prior all-time low had been. You know, in terms of a per share value, which was still perhaps $4 or $5 higher than the share price had been or whatever before. You know, so what I'm saying. So so in terms of the way that it affects the psychology, it's got that so many factors thing about it. You know, what were the reasons for it? You know, because of course it could be more shares, could be less shares, whatever. What was the outcomes, etc. So you're seeing things like as well, you don't even need to split the stocks to actually change the amount of supply. For example, GameStop, the supply, the float has increased recently, you could say, but they didn't issue any more shares. It's just that they had them on hand to raise another $1 billion, and they've got plenty more shares left on hand as it happens. So, you know, it really depends. You know, it really, really, really depends on so many factors about what's going on. So one of the things I've talked about recently is like the way that the companies can use them. They can issue shares, but you know, as the stocks, how are insiders trading with their shares post split? Have there been any preferential aspects to it? So there's so many to it that you couldn't necessarily talk about it, but we would be wanting to look at the TA in advance and kind of and have an idea of the performance of the company and the expectations as well, and how they're being met with regards to the expectations of the shareholders up to that point, you know, and then kind of like think that if anything it'll have an event psychology aspect to it, and there's going to be a massive buy the rumor sell the news aspect to it, and all those sorts of factors. I suppose, you know, there isn't an easy answer. What do you think of the price on Rolls-Royce stonk, says K King? Right, yeah, this is one of the ones I've been interested in the past. I hope that was somewhat satisfactory, that technical analysis I did on PCT. I mean, I didn't really do an awful lot, did I? Like, let's just drop down quickly to the 15-minute time frame and see this most recent high. Has it come in nicely? It's not got the divergence follow through with it, but it's done everything without divergence. Yeah, so it's not got the volume following through with it, but it's done everything without divergence. So I don't know if I said the words in the right order. Did push up above 50s, done that previously. That was part of this upward trend. Yeah, so at this time, like I said essentially earlier on, I was trying to say that there's, you know, high chance of a pullback. Key areas to look out for. They're going to determine where we're going next, and where we're going next afterwards, if we do continue towards the top side, is of course $26, $28, and towards the downside you're looking at $23.15 as being your best potential entry. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but that would be where you'd be looking at. And we were talking about this thing, Rolls-Royce, RR dot Rolls-Royce. Hello, Rolls-Royce. How are you doing? Oh, you're doing all right, are you? You're not quite above $113 yet, though, I see, or pounds. Great British pounds. You're not yet quite above 113 Great British pounds, but you are above 109 Great British pounds. I think there's a good play on this chart, right? I've known about this one for a while, Kevin. As you can see, these types of ideas here, right? So kind of, you know, could we see a touch of the old that on the go? We were talking about head and shoulders earlier on, and how you could talk about them with regards to the descent down the way and the movement back up. 24-hour time frame, you can see that this started dropping down from that 89 price point over here on the left, and the 27th of August 2020, and it wasn't actually back up at that price point until the 12th of October 2020. And really, you know, in terms of actually getting any closures up and around about that zone, you're looking over towards November 2020. So while there is a sort of sharp aspect to this thing, it's not the same as a chart which does all of that in the space of 3 hours, right? So you know, this difference is worth noting, but this is a broad structure. Looking here and saying that, can this overall perform like a head and shoulders, with acknowledgement of the fact that this neckline isn't really going to be a line. It's going to be a zone. It's going to be a zone which, if I remember correctly, in terms of how the likelihood of me having talked about it, those two lines will still be left on when I hit delete on the others. Yes, indeed, right? So there's this zone in here, and that means that I'm looking up towards $130 there before I really properly get excited about the potential for the next 300% move towards the top side, or say 250% move towards the top side thereafter. In the meantime, this is a decent stock, right? In my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, and this financial advice, but I'm liking the fact that we got a golden cross over here, daily time frame, golden cross, 200 simple being crossed by the 50 simple, which is that red line crossing that white line. I like the fact that the prices have consolidated in amongst here, having retested the 200 already a couple of times afterwards, coming back up and consolidating again here now, currently above the 50. I like all of that. I like what I'm seeing with regards to this, to the volume down here. I like the stop in volume that's coming at the head. It's not got that ideal inverted head and shoulders aspect about it in terms of what some people talk about, where they want to see diminishing volume kind of throughout until you get up whatever. I think that analysis with head and shoulders is kind of bullshitty. This is decent to have seen because it was incredible low in terms of the stock price coming down at $35, having of course previously spent a long time much higher. So yeah, and then so I'm going to remain patient on this one. Essentially, is what I'm saying. There's I don't really need to look up the fundamentals for Rolls-Royce to know that their company. I mean, they get UK government contracts for military stuff and all the rest of it. So all right. They also make all the engines for the Boeing series of airplanes, maybe Airbus as well. Maybe it's the other way around. Who knows? Who even cares? And that, but the company here, like the technical analysis on this one is as is with everything, is all I pretty much ever need. But yeah. So waiting for this to start to see happen. I think it's an all right one. And in terms of the DMI, you can see that we've had all these periods here where we've been in really low volatility for quite some time. And looking at the charts here, in this period of time, you can see that this has just been kind of little movements up, never taken out $113, little movements down the way, not crashing down below 100, consolidating in this range. If we do break above the $113, then my target on it is going to be up towards 130, not necessarily even as high as 130, with the acknowledgement there that we could be looking at a sort of, you know, this sort of aspect to this thing over here on the right hand side, that shoulder of the head and shoulders, and just kind of going to be patient on it overall, really, with this one. I am anticipating at some point moves towards the top side, which could be accompanied by volume. We can see that in terms of is there accumulation and distribution, etc., on the chart, that throughout this period of time, a lot of people have been trading it compared to previously. Now, of course, this is in terms of number of shares. So right here at the lowest point, the number of shares that can be bought and sold in terms of how much it costs to buy and sell one share, and a $75 or $70 round, £70 round transaction. At this point, you can do the full thing twice for the price of what it costs for one for less, for 70% of a share, for less than being able to trade one just a month or two earlier. So that's is why these extreme movements in prices, that I kind of, you know, bear in mind the volume aspect of this thing being higher. But anyway, the volume continuing to be higher at this point here shows me that there's an appetite for this thing as it stands, to absorb the distribution. The time frame that I'm looking at for it in terms of how this thing's all panned out is to kind of acknowledge that in this period of time you're looking at over a year's price action. So in this period of time as well, you're looking at so far having been just shy of a year. So even if it takes a couple more months, etc., I'm not particularly bothered, but I do think that there's really good trading to be had in the small term and the long term on this one, and that's how I'd be looking at it. Wait, somebody asked, was it PCT that asked about 6 months, or was it somebody else? Somebody asked about 6 months chart. Somebody said, can you take a look at the chart and tell me where you think it's going for 6 months? Lift. That was Lift. Thanks. LYFT. Lift. So monthly chart, open it up, look here at it, and say over the next 6 months, where do I see it going? I mean, you can see that, right? We're clearly have made it up towards that 618 as it happens. Anyhow, taking this out is super duper for me. Where can I see it going over the next 6 months? Sure, I'm going to go with that as my starting point on this one, or indeed as this is my starting point on this one, right? Okay, stick it on the logarithmic chart. Should have had everything else. I prefer charting on the logarithmic chart as a general rule, just really, to be honest with people, right? Anyway, so 24-hour time frame, got this golden cross, come back down, retested to 200. You know, golden cross here, positive price action, very good. We see the prices going up all the way up 89%. Easy buying areas, retested the 50, could have taken another 44% move towards the top side in terms of this one. Let's just say that instead of being like super, that what actually happened is that instead, you got in at this test of the 18 and you carried it until we broke the 50. That's 12%, a rather low risk trade. Say then you got in at when we actually overtook the 18 period exponential moving average there, right? And then you waited until we broke the 50 again. That's 18%. So you don't need to go like for the full things, etc. You can just completely trade within reasons, and all the time saying to yourself, well, look, I know that there's been a golden cross, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and have this strategy. All right, and then you could have thought to yourself, well, if we break here, then I could take a move down towards the 200 simple. These types of trading ideas or this type of knowledge and the way that this is being presented now at the minute makes it seem so bizarrely easy, and it's not. And it takes an extremely long amount of time to be able to be this makes it seem like it's easy, and I'm really, really happy to be informing people of these things, and it's a skill for life that you're getting here, and it's a very good thing to have. Anyway, regardless, right, we've hit off and those were the easy moves. Okay, those were the easy ones. And it continues, right? Okay, but those were the easy ones. How does it continue, Rocky? Well, you can say that we didn't take out our lows. You could make a debate about it, but if you pop it in at the bodies here, you can see that we didn't do that as we came in for that area. So you can say that, if you were to look at it on the 3-day time frame, that you've got lows, highs, maybe a low, maybe a higher high, maybe a higher low. And what are we on the way to doing? Well, we could be going up higher. Now, the chances are, of course, that this is yet again another key area. This is, that's probably why you're asking about it, Carl, is because, as you can see here, the prices have come up towards the 618 and now pushed on beyond it. So suddenly it's got somebody else's attention out there, whether or not they were going to talk about it from that point of view or not. There's all roads lead to Rome after all, so that'll be probably why you're asking about it. And the question then is, can we actually push on higher up? And well, what's to say that there isn't currently? Well, there is the diminishing volume at this point here, so we're not getting a massive follow through of volume, but still, so what? What is there to say that we could? Well, this is hidden bullish divergence, so that's pretty strong. However, failure would be a turnaround in terms of the chart. You've got to always be kind of wary of hidden bullish divergence, of course. You can see it here. The MACD is this was as low as the MACD was here. Now it's lower. I mean, it might not be massively visible on your screens, but that's what that is. And whatever. Just get rid of this bottom one. Whatever. So yeah, but so if we take out that area where this was the case, then what it means is that this is a changing conditions, and it would start to look like a sort of Quasimodo head and shoulders, or the rolling over the markets. And how does that previous high came in? Well, it came in without divergence, so I'm feeling that we are looking good here on this one. I feel like we're looking good here on this one overall. Yes, bit of diminishing volume, just had this cross here, so yes, we're looking good. But if we'd had if it wasn't a case that we've done all of this with diminishing volume and had come all the way down as low as the 50 simple here on the 3-day time frame, but over there on the, as we'd come down as low as the 200 simple here on the daily time frame, then we wouldn't be in a position where we'd be in a choppy market. We would have that strength of trend, which obviously evidently clearly had before, but we were putting in that divergence there at those highs on the DMI and the MACD. This is one of these instances where it's where I would say that here in Stockland that the MACD does a better job of identifying divergence, but really it's kind of like a case of saying as well that over there on the DMI we actually had that divergence throughout. So you can get the sort of 2 out of 3 aspect of things as opposed to necessarily having to pick and choose favorites. So that's what I'd be looking out for, because if this low here at the 47.75 gets taken out, if we take out $45 on this one, $45, then this is no longer like hidden bullish divergence, is it? It's just the strength of the downward trend really kind of rearing its head. So early on, and telling us that, of course, that we'd be going back down to fill in this gap. At least you'd be looking down towards $32, and you'd be able to get a sort of whatever it is, $15 off 45 down to 30, whatever percent that is, a third. Make a third on your trade there, 30% profit. Not bad. These 30% moves are nice to look out for. So anyway, like I say though, we're looking good, right? Because it's this, and then this here aspect of where this market structure is and what would happen, and the relationship with that hidden bullish divergence and how it would actually pan out if we did crash down the way is compounded by the what would be, you know, this high in terms of this. If this was a lower, if this was a downward trend, then you've got that sort of hidden bearish divergence kind of showing its head already. Indeed, it's not bearish divergence in classic sense, because this latest high, you know, didn't take out our previous high over here, which is where we had this peak, but that was already bearishly divergent. So this would just be like that. So there's that weakness there. So that means then, how would you actually go ahead managing your risk in this scenario from where we are right now? And you can see this is a 24-hour time frame, but there's an aspect right here, and I'll just kind of circle it, and hopefully it stays in the same sort of a place, or I'll point an arrow at it there, so that you can see then we drop down towards the 4-hour time frame, that those kind of questions are much easier to answer. Over here you can see that we're not making it above the 40 line on the DMI for, you know, just, you know, as a sort of reference point. Also, you can see as well that we're in chop in terms of the DMI, right? You know, so you've got that there, and you know then that we've got this period here, which was a low on the 4-hour time frame, but it was just a little kind of smudge on the daily time frame, and you'd be able to say quite clearly to yourself, well then in this situation, given the fact that between our previous highs, if you wanted to mention it as well, that you've come up and filled in the golden pocket, that if we were to drop back down below this 50% area where that previous low was, that of course that would be very much obviously have experienced, you know, a valid Fibonacci pullback here, you know, this way round. At any given sort of stage, you could keep just dragging that up the way until eventually it took out the 236, you know, from wherever its high was, and you'd be able to say, okay, well that's it. Or indeed you could just manage your risk at that previous low at 55 from where we are now at 61, saying if it drops 10% from here, then I don't want to be in a position right now, etc. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but certainly managing your risk with regards to where the risk areas increase is important, because this would be where it would massively, you know, exponentially increase towards the downside. And looking from that 55 area, it actually takes you down to 46, and that's a 20% drop off, you know. So you could say I can tolerate 10 but I'll not tolerate 20, or indeed tolerate 10 with the chance of getting back in again. And if you wanted to break it down even further, then you look at the structure here, high, high, and high, bearishly divergent down here on the 4-hour time frame as it stands currently, and you pop down to the 1-hour time frame and you say, well look, at the minute here we've got touch, 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 or you can just skip them, doesn't really matter. And then over here at the lower side you can go touch to touch, 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 you can skip them, it doesn't matter. And you can say, well, you've got this wedge on the go here, and a wedge of course is a typically bearish pattern with a, you know, a rising wedge that goes up the way is typically a bearish pattern, because it kind of shows you the diminishing aspect of the highs while the lows are coming up higher, and it's just not got the strength. It's only got buyers buying at lows and not people capitulating at highs, which is what you need to have as the markets to kind of go with you. So then you'd be looking at the range in terms of the movement. This would be where the debate would come in at this point. You'd be saying, well, it's between these sort of two highs here, they're not actually that different really. This sort of a range, and that highs are at 59 and that lows at 54, so 60 down to 54, 55, that's a $5 move. And that does that bring us up to, in terms of our highs breaking up above this at 61, well $66 is the first target towards the top side. And if we were to drop down the way, then of course going from 59 down towards 55, 54 again would be the lower side target, and that's where that one is. And you can manage your risk and say, we'll push him, you know, and like, so you can see the whole story there. It's just all a case of deciding how you particularly want to trade this, because however you want to trade this should be how the same policy that you take should be how you would take your next trade for the next 20 trades, and then of course you're developing a skill which will last you for life. Right now it does look like, you know, that there's a good reason for it to drop back down to these areas, but we could absolutely blast off. We could blast off. I would like to see us not taking out that 55 area and everything else. The trend is on the go. It's not got a massive strength of trend. You couldn't say that it has. And the DMI will show us that, where it's actually come here down to very low areas. and this background area is stopped. So if we did see it dropping down the way, then maybe perhaps what we're looking to is for us to come back into to testing off where our prior lows were really essentially here, and you can see then that you'd be looking down towards that 59 area and asking questions about it. So right now there's, so anyway, that's, you know, and then you can keep going, you can keep going, you can keep going. Eventually you end up on the 1 minute time frame, and you kind of realize on the 1 minute time frame why, you know, like how it's kind of mad or whatever. It's mad, right? So, right, great. That's maybe too dense, too much. I don't know. Nice stream going, Rocky. Thanks so much. Poof, divergence convergence is definitely not my strong suit. Also picked up a tidbit when you touched on the DMI a moment ago. That's quality that you picked up a wee tidbit there. That's good to see. Happens over time, right? I fully expect that among the people in this audience, within the next 2 years, there'll be at least, and there's what, 233 people watching right now. If you were all to be here for the next 2 years in some capacity, one way or another, that in 2 years there'll be numerous people out there who are better at numerous different aspects of technical analysis than I am, that could really absolutely teach me a thing or two. And right now amongst yous, there will be plenty of yous that could teach me stuff now. I'm sure there are. There's plenty of people out there, and I'm always willing to take lessons and stuff like that. Now, but in 236 people, easily 20 of yous will be better at me at numerous different aspects of things in the next couple of years. And of them, of the 230 people, perhaps there's even some that have already watched for a chunk of time, like the likes of K King in the audience there or whatever, who are all well on their way to be in, and there's lots of them, well on their way to be in better at me a bunch of other things, you know. So whatever. So like that's what we're all about here. School of Stonk with Rocky and Jamie. Yay. So looking back at these, sorry, have to go. I have to take my mother to her doctor's appointment. I wish you all a great day and awesome trading. Thanks so much, Kevin. That was really nice of you. Morris, good luck to your mum. Yeah, nice one. Good community stuff there. Great, fantastic. So we're an hour and 24 minutes into the stream. Rocky, Jeff Smith, Rocky Outcrop, already better in a few months. Can vouch. Lol. Fantastic. There we go. Fantastic. See, so great. Right. What we're doing here is so much more than this, you know, so much more. It's about people having life skills and all that good stuff. Anyway, I hope that by showing you, somebody asked me in a stream yesterday if I could talk about the relationship between time frames, and the only difference between what I did there now and a complete comprehensive lesson on how to look at a chart across numerous different time frames is saying, this is what I'm doing right now. Okay. Now I appreciate that I could maybe that's an important thing. You know, I appreciate that is an important thing to be pointing that out. But as a brief summary, then what you can say is looking at the charts on a broad term time frame will be incredibly revealing in terms of the long overall structure and the markets and where things have been for a long time, and what the significance of the current price is vis-a-vis the long-term history of the charts. When you look below, you know, you're obviously going to lack in terms of data when a company like Lyft that presumably just IPO'd back in March 2019, as compared to, for example, looking at a company like Rolls-Royce. I hope this has got a decent chart history on it. Yeah, this is the monthly time frame for Rolls-Royce. You know, much more information over there in this chart. Much more. So, so yes, right. So there's that aspect of things, and then of course, you can see then when you go down to the weekly time frame, you start to see the emergence of some of these ideas that we go on to talk about, and you can see the structure of the previous highs and lows, which were not visible on the monthly time frame. They were just like, you know, well, they're kind of just in here as part of consolidation. And then you go down to like the daily time frame, and you can talk about things like the volume from the bigger picture and how this kind of looks in terms of the highs and the divergences and where the risk is, and when you identify where the key areas of risk are and what could be happening, blah blah blah, and you can tie it all together, and it really depends on how you're going to be trading something, etc. And there is no way of teaching somebody that I've come across yet, which is one single comprehensive lesson which works. Suffice it to say, I've tried lots of times, even at times specifically talking about the relationship between time frames, and that a lot of times I've tried. Runner invest now, huge news, says Jean Aliaga. Oh, interesting. Well, that's enthusiastic. That guy, yes, says Rocky Moon when we're mooning this afternoon, man. We're mooning at 5. Oh wait, we'll go look at we'll bring up those other two charts. 219 GME here. In this period where we've begun a sort of consolidation phase. Oh, aye, that wedge. Was it on the GME charts? We were talking about the wedge. Yeah, it was. And put it on the 3-minute chart, the 2-minute chart. Yeah, you see, like, okay, cool, right? I get it about it all. I am looking instead at at this as being just kind of lunchtime price action in America right now, and waiting for people to come back to their desks, if that's fair enough. Really, and you can see this as well, just carrying on, just doing what we're doing. Just everybody wanted to have an easy day at the office in terms of this one, just between these two zones. You can actually quite distinctly see here in the 5-minute time frame as it happens, though, this upward slope that you've got on the lows. It's like going along like that, just perfectly like that. And you can also see as well that there's like a flatter area at the top, so it's perfect. So we're coming in and giving us the chance to have an afternoon breakout if we want to. For me, it's a question of whether or not we touch this 50 simple first before we come back, before we move up and try and move towards 6120 on that one. Try and move for it, or indeed try and move down. You know, one of the two. It's coming up soon enough. Kind of, I feel like it is, but you know, we have to wait for the guys to get back to their desks, don't we? Like we're talking about. Trade Spawn's put in some emojis. That's cool. Oh, sugar, says Kevin. Haha. What else we have? Merrick Sanders. Can everybody hit like who's still here who hasn't hit like earlier on, by the way? Super appreciated. But it feels like you're really good at TA when we watch one of the brothers. It feels like you're really good at TA when we watch one of the brothers. It does. That's good. Yeah, but you're all getting to the TA. TA is only as good as the person interpreting it. We happen to believe Rocky and Jamie are top class interpreters. On the other hand, I'm complete garbage at it, mainly because I've never done it. But it feels like you're really good at TA when you watch the conversation makes sense. Yeah, that's true. Technical analysis is only as good as the person interpreting it. I think that's very, very true. I see so much. Yeah. Yeah. And if somebody only talks about what I can see in the chart, then I find it hard to listen past a certain point. And if they're talking about something that explains what's really going on, then I'm like massively intrigued. And there's a sort of subtle difference there, and you can tell it. You've seen it. You've seen enough people on YouTube and all the rest of it. You know the difference. Can you look at Sindel when you have time? Thanks. First time watching you live. Watch some of your crypto TA vids. Great info. Thanks so much, Sad. Right, cool. Yeah, we can go take a look at Sandal, but this will not be the first time that I've looked at this stock. I looked at this stock earlier on, so thanks so much for that. What I was saying earlier on when I looked at it is that one of the reasons why people are asking about it is because of the big movement that we had here today, which actually pushed above 618 Fibonacci. What did I say about this earlier on? I'm sorry, buddy. I did already talk about this one. I really appreciate the donation. It really is appreciated. I can't remember what I said specifically about it earlier on, but anyway, here in the 4-hour time frame, we can see that. What was it? What time frame was I looking at? The 1-hour time frame, right enough. The 1-hour time frame. Strength of trend is still there. Yeah, I talked about this quite a bit. What the hell is TA? I was never told this was about TA. TNA. it's teenage adolescence is what it is technical analysis. Teenage adolescence, at least for the most part, it is. What we've done here so far is we've pulled back down to the 50 simple moving average. At the minute, we're still going to ask, and we're still having to ask the question about whether or not this can be defended. The 200 simple is going to continue to rise towards the top side as the 50 simple continues to have this depressing effect done on it. If the prices were to drop below it, then we're going to come in and ask about a cross, which is fine. In fact, though, what I want to see happen is the defense of this cross, the defend of it, that we want to see it actually sustain itself and act positively. I'm not going to get super excited about sundial until we're above 11111, all the ones, $1.11. Why? Because that's kind of that last region where we had this wick on this candle, and the markets just pushed themselves down overall. This low that came in is a 618 golden pocket retrace against the movement towards the top side. So seeing us turn around at this point here is not that much of a surprise. The savvy traders amongst you will have looked at the downward trend here during this phase and seen that there was lows coming in while there were lows, and then there were lower lows coming in while there were lower lows, and then as they kept continuing to trace their eye down here and saw that there was lower and lower lows coming in while the highs, or the lows, sorry, on the RSI were not going any lower, they'd have been quite concerned about any sort of strength of trend towards the downside, while the prices were of course cascading down towards, on the 1 hour time frame, the 200 simple moving average, or indeed on the 4 hour time frame down towards the 50 simple moving average. Now challenging that with the current price action today, but not actually managing to supersede it. Likewise challenging the neutral line and not managing to supersede it. In terms of the bullish divergence, was it here invisible on the 4 hour time frame? Well, not so much. On the 2 hour time frame we did have it, however, and in terms of every movement towards the top side, every one down the way in terms of where we had this divergence, you can see with the big push up that we of course did every type of idea of swing failure along the way in terms of these lows and how we pushed past them. Now structurally as well, we've also gone past this previous lower high area as well, and we've kind of changed things around. But at this stage, what you want to see happen is to have a rebase, to have a higher low come in, and to be able to say that something has changed. If you don't understand the significance of higher lows and higher highs with the context of regards to the trend being your friend, then be sure to check out the my video about higher highs and higher lows on my education playlist on the channel. So we've pulled up quite a ways, but how are we doing? And if you look towards that high over there and down towards that low, you can see that we came up and we pushed down past the 236 currently. We're at the 50 simple. If we do drop one down the way, then we're looking down towards 93. We're currently at 97, so we pushed past the $1. The idea of being able to defend the $1 thing was obviously quite hopeful, but I was talking to somebody who was hodling it earlier on anyway. The idea then of it coming down here and challenging the 93 cents area is not outline. Have we done it recently? No, we've not. But you're asking, can we actually, is this the buy price for us? Is this the buy price for us? Anywhere in here it might be, but you're taking you're not buying into a trend, right? You're not buying into a trend. The trend on this time frame is to the downside. It has been high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Right, what you're doing is you're taking a counter trend move, because what you're saying is that you're buying into this type of trend that was on before, which was towards the top side perhaps, and that this is simply a retracement against that upward trend, which came down to the 618, which, okay, like you can do, but we want to then be able to rebase and say that we've actually got a higher low. So it really depends on you. Anything that you're taking here depends in terms of your risk appetite with that one, and that. In terms of movements towards the top side, we can do it, but I'm looking towards all the ones, and then once we do that, then I'm looking up towards, like, where did I even say? I mean, what's a target there on that one? Towards the towards the 125 to 135 sort of region. But how about instead of doing that, we do how about instead of that we do from that spike, or no, we do it from No, can't be bothered. It's going to do something different and try and come up with different targets off of it, but I really can't. I can't be bothered. It's good. I don't know I want to be able to help you specifically though, because you donated. So let me know if there's what you'd like me to take a look at with specific regard to helping you personally, if I can. Earlier things I talked about with regards to this market are the sort of the manipulation within it, not in a nefarious way, just how markets work from a normal market structure way. Talked about the volume spikes on the chart, so there's stuff that you can find during the video earlier on that'll help, but specifically with regards to helping you personally, you can let me know if there's anything. And for everybody else though, at this point, I will start to wrap up. Okay, I'm going to tune out now. It's 10 past 5. It's actually longer than I intended on being on today. Jimmy was kind of on later in the day than I thought, and then I started slightly later than we'd kind of thought maybe would be. But I'm trying to work things out at the minute. Still don't know what'll be the best routine for me. Really don't. So I'm still trying to work things out with that. But I'm going to head off in the next 5 minutes. So if anybody wants me to take a look at anything specifically, let me know. Would appreciate a look at ME. Thanks. Yeah, cool. So there we go. For instance, 23andMe holding company went all the way up to highs. Oh look, that didn't work out, that trade idea, did it? I wonder, does that mean I suck balls? I wonder. Not particularly when you look at the risk management on it. It just didn't look like it was ever going to work. Did I say that we should get in there if we move above that line? In which case, you never even really got properly into the trade, apart from maybe for a split second at one point. I don't know what I would have said about that at the time, honestly, but I don't like looking at that and not being impressed by it. I much prefer opening up charts and being impressed by them. This is on log, yeah. So this only goes back as far as the 7th of June. That's the 1 hour time frame. 24-hour time frame. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit more data. We've retraced as far as that. Well, that does make sense. Okay. Still like the look of this chart overall. It's obviously really new, so we don't know an awful lot about it. Still like the look of this chart overall. We came back down, slipped back down to kind of this little inflection area. You know, we've not got an awful lot of support on the go here, but if I just overlap the current buy price with where we're seeing, you know, just popping that on that green dotted line, just to really draw reference to where we are, you know, right now. You can see that that's where that wick was. We're kind of in or around about that zone of this wick, not quite in around a bit there as well, this one, and that there's a degree of and close enough this region, that's actually that liquidity zone that we're actually at the minute. So it's more like kind of looking at this region here. So we drop back down to it a little bit further than it, coming on down the way, checking into the 4 hour time frame. Got this potential for this golden cross to come up here in the 4 hour time frame. That'll probably happen, and again, you know, almost certainly happens fairly soon. What about the 1 hour time frame? Riding along the 50. So this is how this has been working so far for us, and we've come back down to the 50 symbol period since that high, and now we're asking, can we push up the way? Well, I'm still super positive on this one. The diminishing volume that's coming in right now at this particular zone kind of chimes to me with what I would anticipate until such times as we're actually past that area. So that's okay. From the lows to the highs as it happens, we've come down to the 50%, so it was 50% off of that move. Yeah. So so this is like different market conditions. Okay, so we had a market here which was towards the top side, and you know, this is obviously all still very, you know, very much new things. Had a market here towards the downside, and now we've got this market here, and we really are trying to decide in this phase that we're going through right now if this is going to continue towards the top side or ultimately put in some sort of higher low. I feel like it will continue towards the top side, but the zone to be looking to at the minute is, can we get above $12.25, in which case that's feeling good and we can get that continuation, bearing in mind of course where 1350 is, etc., along the way. But if we don't and we actually take out our prior lows in here, thanks for that whoever that was, I'll get around to that in a second, 1137, if we take out that 11.30, that $11 zone, if we take out $11, then maybe we are going down. Well, 11. If we take out 11.30, we're going down to 10.40 potentially. It's a bit extended up here, but that's kind of to be expected. This big initial impulse up the way when this decided to stop being a horrible sideways downward period in there, and to start to move towards the top side. You can't even see it because it's covered up by the moving averages, and the true range was so tiny. It's only really kicked off since there's been any of this interest in it recently, and that gives us that move up there, which makes it look like it's got bearish divergence between these highs and the way up the way. But that's all that massive impulse, and it's just the difference between what had been going on previously to what, it's just the difference in that zone. So instead I'm looking in terms of the divergence really in this chunk just here. And we don't have any bearish divergence along those highs so far. That's very, very good to see. When we drop back down the way, we didn't get like hidden bullish divergence, which is totally fine. And I'm happy to see that, because like I explained kind of earlier on in the show, hidden bullish divergence can kind of flip rapidly towards negative momentum should you take out your prior market structure. So we're in that zone where everything's looking along nicely. Take out the neutral line and the RSI and things start to look good. MACD is showing us that hidden bullish divergence, so it is there actually on the MACD right now. So yeah, and the DMI is in chop. Okay, so there isn't that strength of trend there. Now, if we continue to kind of float along then here in this zone without taking it out, then we could see some volatility come back into the market, which kind of pushes us both ways, and you might get trapped one side or the other. Taking it easy at the minute and looking above 12.25 or indeed below sort of 10.50 is the way to kind of stay sane in this market, perhaps. Although the chart didn't I had a message up there. As soon as I clicked the screen, you deleted it. Fine, great, cool, that's fine. New people have dropped. Wait, it says something now. Although the chart didn't look great at first glance, you previously said if it drops below 1270, it's looking bearish in the short term. So no worries. I diamond handed, but you were right. Thanks so much. Cool. So that's what I said previously. So I was up here at 1270. If it drops below 1270, it looks bearish in the short term. It came back down to 1170s sort of zones, whatever. Bounced off the 50 simple. We're looking to see if we can retake out that zone. And since we're at 1179 at the minute, I'm going to wait till see get above 1230 whatever, then we start to feel a lot more positive. Dropping down below the at this stage the sort of 1140, I feel like 1040 could be on the cards, but I'm still feeling bullish on it. Well, the prices are above 1050. Okay, sweet. Somebody put in a donation, so let me just check. Great to finally catch you live, Rocky. Thanks for all you do. Super Cashy 1. Oh, that's just you just being nice. Thanks. You're welcome. TA's like magic, only as good as the wizard or witch. Hey, cool. Vic Vince, I always watch Bruce 1 hour before market open. That's his good hour when he shares his research. Cool, nice one. Handy tip for all the Bruceaneers out there. Eric Sorensen, new people probably just follow clickbait and don't understand the quality info you guys are pumping out daily. No, of course they don't, which is why this is a long slog. I've got a good deal of staying power and integrity, and that's what this is all about here. Much appreciated. Thank you. Much welcome, my friend. Thank you as well. Maurice Luciano, that gobshite Rensoul says. Yeah. People like Rensoul are nothing to me. Rensoul, if you ever watch this, by the way, you're nothing to me at all. It doesn't matter, for me it's nothing. I've had actual struggles in life, actual ones. It's nothing. Ronaldo Moreno, fast doesn't equate to substance. We'll stay the course and build just like life. Ronaldo, man, you've got such a great soul. Maurice Luciano, aye, but could be keeping away new viewers. Can't catch them if they never dip their toe in. I know. I need to do that. I need to do that. We can decide. We can decide. In fact, if you want, we can decide. What this episode should be called or whatever. I'm happy to do that sort of stuff again. We can even create I used to have a room in the past in the Discord. The community was much smaller then, but we've lived through this same experience a number of times. I don't chase that clickbaitiness, and I don't chase it, and maybe I should, and I don't. Maybe I should. It feels like lower myself to their level. It also feels but it also feels like I'm doing them a disservice because they don't know any different. I don't know, but if you look at my video, I mean, like, that's my thumbnail today, right? Jamie's thumbnail is fantastic, and shout out to H Jones if you're in the chat there. TA Live with a rock in it. That's what I've used for the last few days. GameStop, AMC, stock, and crypto. That's mine. That's what I do. I don't think that my thumbnail is any sort of worse than Houston Wade's 17,000 views streamed 4 days ago. Houston, we have a problem. Livecast 7. What did he call it? I mean, I'm not comparing myself to the guy here. I'm just literally comparing his title to my title. Big Gamma and FTD cycle next week. I don't know. 17,000 views, 12,000 subscribers. Has done great job at what he's been doing so far, and he is an educator and a nice guy. What's the difference? I mean, 210 watching right now. 210. Let's just search AMC right now on YouTube. Live now, we've got 37,000 watching that, 2,000 watching that. Nobody wants to watch this one. 5,000 views on Trading Science's video earlier on today. That guy just started on YouTube. He basically only does Elliott Wave. I like him. He's a good guy and everything else, but you know, these are the people who are being handed the lifestyle. They're being handed the everything by you know, and I'm out here doing really hard work all the time, genuinely giving a shit about people in my community and everything else as well. Not to say that they don't do it, you know, but they're being rewarded by the world for it. You know, what is it? This live AMC GameStop. Do I need to copy the titles there, or do I need to put AMC first in my title like he does in every single one of his videos? Do I need to do that? Because that's the other things that I'm not doing specifically, and maybe I should be. This will cause AMC to explode. Do I need to do that? You know, do I need to? I don't know, but do I need to have the AMC logo in the picture really big all the time? Do I need to do that? You know, do I need to have the AMC logo as a big circle on every single one of my videos? Is that what they need to look like for me to get anywhere on YouTube? I'm not sure. Thanks very much, Michael. Am I running tags? Yeah, I've got tags. In fact, you know, let's just do this. Let's spend the next 5 minutes on stream, right? And I'll edit up my video here. I'll not copy his title exactly because that would be bad. I'll change it up a little bit. And we'll see if anybody comes along. They won't. We know they won't. It's not going to happen. Right, so there's that. I've copied his title, right? Now I'll just go back and I can get his tags over here. I'll just copy them. I'll just copy the clipboard. People are asking me recently about when I kind of stopped talking in the Discord, etc., as if I didn't care about the community or whatever anymore, and that type of thing. It's like I seriously care about everything that I do here so much. Thanks so much for that. I'll check in that in a second, and I'll also copy. Do I really need to copy the description? When you look at his description, it's just all free $10 on free thingies, affiliate links. The whole thing's affiliate links. All this affiliate links, complete shit. Well, he talks about GameStop there just slightly. So I mean, is it that? Right. Let me just take off his video top. Take that. I'll take all of this stuff. Thanks very much, by the way, Matt Kors, for all this. Really appreciate I really appreciate you helping me with my channel here massively. So I'll just stick that in my description as well. Let's just see if we get anything, like some more people joining up here. Save that. Cool. Got 218 people watching. Things are picking up over here. So let me just get back to the YouTubes and refresh so we can see my stream on the list. Live, AMC and GameStop. This is our journey. Cheers, Matt, for that. Our journey is just starting. This is our journey. My title is slightly better because it fits in the character thingy. I don't have AMC picture on my thingy. Do I need to put an AMC one on there? Do I need to do that? I mean, this doesn't make me feel good doing this. Anyway, instead of doing all of that, I think what I'll probably just do is go and live my life. But there's things people ask me a lot about my they talk to me. Let me just show you a few things here. I've got videos here on the channel. 9 views, 2 views. 2 views, that got 2 views, that's okay. 9 views. 11 views, 14 views, all these videos. I've deleted a few of them recently. But it's not, but you're looking at it and you're saying, oh, but that was ages ago. No, it isn't. April the 15th, 2021. 19 views. 19 views on my video. There's a thumbnail. It's not the worst thumbnail in the world. What's the title? Ethereum to $3,000 targets along the way. I mean, this video told people how to make a fuck ton of money. The Ethereum went to $3,000 for sure. It did. Made you know, the 19 people that watched this made a lot of money. You know. What am I doing? I've done, honestly. Anyway, I'm not here to yap about my channel or anything, not at all. But watch, right? You get involved in the Discord. This is not the first time this happened. I've had this conversation 100 times. When people say, "Oh, I've got a notification," it's cool. I really appreciate that. It doesn't change anything. I've been banned by YouTube a long time ago, right? A long time ago. Just noticed all of the blue face paint all over my mic. I actually hadn't noticed that before. It's all over it. I'm going to go now, by the way, but just so that you know, I've had this conversation many times before. I'll have it again in the Discord. If anybody wants to suggest thumbnails, cool. Titles, cool. Tags, cool. All of it, totally cool. I'll do anything that you think there. It won't make a difference, right? Out of everybody that you've seen doing any analysis to do with GME, AMC, whatever, this is up there with the best of it in terms of the interaction with the community while the episode's going on. Up there with the best of it in terms of actually reading the comments, knowing the names of people. Up there with the best of it in terms of having a community and engaging with it. It's better than anything I've ever been involved in or any live stream I've ever watched ever in my life, ever, for anything at all. Sometimes it's fucking hilarious. Sometimes it's amazing. It's not me, right? Anyway, much love. Catch you later. Oh wait, no, not yet. Almost just left there. Going to run the credits first and say thanks to everybody for tuning in. And yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll just stream at the same time as Jimmy's streaming. Not because of thing, but I would feel bad about doing that, right? I'd feel bad about doing that because like, oh, maybe I'm taking Jimmy's people that would be watching Jimmy are over here watching me, and that maybe I should do that though instead, because Jimmy has got 600 people watching his videos and stuff, and there's only 200 people watching here. You know, there'd be at least 400 over there that don't even want to watch these videos. You know, and if you were to go into Jimmy's thing and say no, you're in there moderating and talking to people, and there are at least that to say that 2/3 of the people that are in there watching don't want to watch you would be mischaracterizing yourself and whatever else. Then, you know, then what the fuck is going on, right? Anyway, to say that I don't appreciate all yous, when I say I appreciate yous, I'm not joking. I'll get a schedule steady. Yeah, those are good ideas. I've got a thread in the Discord. It's called like It's something like marketing proposals, like, but it's not that one. It's a different one, or maybe it is that one. And I'll get in there and I'll read all of this stuff and I'll figure it out and that. But it's like these ideas. I'm going to do them all. But honestly, Jeff and everything, it isn't the schedule, right? It isn't that 400 people of the 600 people watching Jamie's stream dislike me. It isn't that. It isn't the thumbnail. It isn't the title to the videos. It's not the tags. It's not the quality of the content. There's something going on at YouTube which drastically reduces the amount of people that are allowed to watch my channel for one reason or another. It's the only explanation, right? It's the only explanation. Man, that's way too kind of you. Thank you so much. That's way too kind. It's way. It's so kind of you, man. I'm super. Shit, yeah. Like, fuck yeah. Thank you so much. But just so everybody knows, right? If I were to start thinking to myself that it's not because like I didn't have it scheduled out in advance, then I'd be on the same path which says it's also that 400 people from the 600 people that watch Jamie's stream don't actually like you, you know? And it's not either of those things. It's because YouTube is suppressing my channel. It's so obvious for everyone to see. It's just so obvious, right? And I'm not talking about it on some paranoid Android level. It's just so fucking obvious. Right, thank you so much to everybody that tuned in here. Really do appreciate it. I'm going to crack on. I hopefully my schedule tomorrow will be different again, probably as well. I don't actually know what it is. I'll talk to Jimmy about it later. D Harker, thank you so much for donation. Really do appreciate it. Daniel Lesage, always there with donations as well. Bad Mama Jama, you're so great. Thank you so much for that last one as well. It's unbelievable. Epiphany Jones, Lee Willis, Carl Guyman, Arnie McInnes, Sad, Super Kashi, Michael, Stephen, you guys, thank you so much for that. It makes doing what I'm doing here like really freaking, you know, rewarding. Like, it's really awesome. So it's like, that's incredible, and I appreciate it. And I really appreciate. Yeah, I can't say it enough. And then to everybody in the chat, I mean, you see me chatting to you here. I really do appreciate you, Max, for example, Epiphany, Space Captain, Shane, Sensory, Hoax, Ashley, that Jiu-Jitsu guy, Lee Willis, Ladyfingers, Smith, Shane McGovern. Every single one of yous has chosen to be here. Yous weren't prompted to be here because of YouTube. You've literally made the choice to be here. And it's appreciated. Ronaldo Moreno, Tracebot, and thanks again as well, Jimmy, for being so great there. DC, what do you say? I think Matt Horse has more generic commercial appeal, and he was live giving coverage of the January action, so he's familiar to people. But more specifically, his content is easy digestible. Man, look, right, I've got nothing negative to say about the guy, but if you think that of the 39,000 people watching it, that of that 39,000, only 210 can find my content digestible, and we're talking about trading here, then you've got mental problems, mate. And also, if you think that his content is like,
the stock market is like the world of gray area and nuances. It's never, ever, ever going to be like, oh, a perfect thing of like, this exactly means this. It's just not really how the stock market functions. But the most important thing is the fact that we're trading at 59.71. We're up to
really useful stuff there. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he says a lot of good stuff, but if you think that there's that huge a difference between the intelligibility of what I'm saying and the accessibility of my content, then you got a fucking hole in your head. Okay, right. Anyway, much love, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.